بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We send prayers and salutation for the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his family, household and companions. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with all of them. Ameen. Um, Inshallah, this will be our first lesson with the Risala Nawaqid al-Islam by the great Imam of this Ummah, the Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, rahimahullah. This will be our first lesson, inshallah, of this important book. This book, Nawaqid al-Islam, is a very short Risala, but what it contains is very important for every Muslim to pay attention to learn and understand. And not only that, is very important than whatever you think about, which is important. Because with it, you can protect your Islam. As we know, when something is important to you, you keep or save it at the safest side, which you don't want any evil to happen or fault. So, as we know, Islam is the most expensive thing that we have in our hands and our hearts. So, if that is the case, then we need to preserve and protect this deen from that which will corrupt it. This Risala, Nawaqid al-Islam, is from the beneficial Risala or Rasail that have been written in al-Islam. But a lot of people today are misusing and misinterpreting this Risala into what suit their desires. But as for Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, they hold firmly to this Risala and explain it the proper way. وَلَا يَأْتُونَكَ بِمَثَلٍ إِلَّا جِئْنَاكَ بِالْحَقِّ وَأَحْسَنَ تَفْسِيرًا. That they will not bring to you examples, things that are alike, things that are not clear. Rather, they will bring to you the truth and bring to you the correct explanation of it. This is Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Nawaqid al-Islam, as we know, we have Nawaqid al-Wudu, the nullifiers of ablution. When ablution is nullified, then the prayer is not accepted. Then we have Nawaqid al-Islam. Learning the Nawaqid of al-Islam is more important than learning the Nawaqid of Wudu. Because if your Wudu is nullified, your prayer might be accepted if you renew your Wudu. But if your now Islam is nullified, Allah will not accept a prayer from you, even if you take wudu 1,000 times. So this shows that it is important for every Muslim to learn the nawaqid of al-Islam more than anything else. If that is the case, we're going to take our dars, which comprise of nawaqid al-Islam, with the explanation of the esteemed Sheikh. May Allah preserve him and grant him husna him for this ummah, for that which he has done for this ummah. And may Allah Jalla wa ala keep the Shaykh firm till death and raise his ranks to the ranks of the believers Yawm al-Qiyamah. And the Shaykh who wrote the Risala too, Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. We're going to take the Risala of Shaykh Al-Fawzan ibn Abdullah Al-Fawzan, one of the great ulama of this ummah of our time. May Allah preserve him upon khair. Ameen. But before we just take the shar of Nawaqid al-Islam, we need to give ourselves a brief introductions with principles that will help us to understand. As we know, there are a lot of people there that make takfir But wallahi, they are ignorant when it comes to takfir. Just as I said before, they take the book or they took the book, Nawaqid al-Islam, then they understand it by themselves, then they started making rulings. So one should refrain from that and take from the scholars. Most especially important book like this, one should always refer back to the scholars that which they've explained. There are principles, inshallah, before we start with the Risala itself, that are going to guide us to correct some of these wrong understandings and explanations that some people give about the Islam. Is it possible, inshallah, to mute up? Actually, what's the name? I don't know the name. And can you mute up, please? The one with the yellow. Can you mute up, please? طيب جزاك الله خيرا يا أخي. طيب we have now is the plural. ناقض is the singular. مثل, if we say ناقض, this is something, one thing that يعني nullified. For example, we have نواقض الوضوء يعني مفسدات الوضوء. The things wudu or corrupts the wudu, except when someone falls into one of them, then the person needs to take wudu. For example, al-kharij min as-sabilain, when someone falls into that, he needs to renew his wudu. Now we have nawaqid al-islam. Nawaqid here is what? Is the jam'u. So that means when someone falls in one of these nawaqid, he needs to yani renew his Islam again. طيب. Al-Islam. What is Al-Islam? Al-Islam, the scholars have defined Al-Islam. They say Al-Islam, we have هو الاستسلام لله تعالى بالتوحيد والانقياد له بالطاعة والبراءة من الشرك وأهله. That Islam is you submit yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by worshiping Him alone, Jalla wa ala, and obey Him completely as how He deserves, and abstain from shirk and the people of shirk. أو كما قال العلماء. طيب. This is Islam. This is the Islam al-Am. This was the Islam that all the prophets that they brought to their people. Then we have al-Islam al-Khas. That is the Islam which Allah sent to the Prophet ﷺ, that whoever dies without accepting it will enter Jahannam. That is what the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith. والذي نفس in the hadith of Abu Huraira in Sahih Muslim. والذي نفس بيدي لا يسمع بي أحد من هذه الأمة يهودي ولا نصراني ثم يموت ولم يؤمن بالذي أرسلت به إلا كان من أصحاب النار. The Islam that the Prophet ﷺ referred to here, that the Yahud or the Nasara will not hear about it, then do not accept it and die upon yani kufur which they are upon, except that they are the people of Jahannam. This is the Islam that Allah sent to the Prophet ﷺ. This is the Islam that Allah says, وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِ غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ وَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. The deen other than the religion of Islam, it will not be accepted by from him by Allah يوم القيامة, and he will be among the losers. إِنَّ الدِّينَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ الْإِسْلام. Verily, Islam is the religion to Allah, acceptable religion to Allah. Allah says, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. And complete His favor upon us, complete His deen, and He is pleased that Islam is our religion. That the Shaykh is going to us the meaning. The Islam was sent, the Islam that was sent to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, its meaning is the five pillars of Islam. And the hadith of Jibril when he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, فَأَخْبِرْنَا عَنِ الإسلام. فقال رسول من تشهد لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله وتقيم الصلاة وتؤتي الزكاة وتصوم رمضان وتحج البيت إن استطعت إليه سبيلا. الحديث. So this is the Islam al-Khas. This is the Islam, the specific Islam that was Rasulullah. That whoever dies today without accepting it will not enter Jannah. He do. وَعَمَلُهُ وَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ. Whoever denies Iman, rejects Iman, he has nullified all of his deeds and will be among the losers. We've got the main Nawaqid al-Islam. Nawaqid is the jam. Naqid is the plural, sorry, the singular. Nawaqid is the jam. والناقض, and nullifier is هو ما يوجب بطلان الشيء shar'an. It is something that makes something, yani it is a thing that be a sabab for something to be nullified shar'an. Yani, when you say this is a naqid min nawaqid, or you say this is a nullifier from the nullifiers, there should be a proof to affirm your claim. You cannot say this is a nullifier of Islam when there is no proof in the Quran and Sunnah for that. When you do that, this is a corruption that you've made in the deen of Allah. So that is why they say, هو ما يوجب بطلان الشيء شرعا. And nawaqid is something that yani, is something that be the sabab, the reason for something to be nullified in Islam, yani shar'an. That is, if there is no evidence for it, yani nullified, yani that it has been nullified, then we don't accept it. For example, wudu. We know that wudu, from the things that nullified wudu is al khariju min as-sabilain. When someone goes to the toilet or the akramakumullah, this person, his ablution has been nullified. He need to renew his ablution. Why? Because we have evidence. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned about that. لا يقبل الله صلاة أحدكم إذا أحدث حتى يتوضأ. Allah doesn't accept one of your prayers when he is in a state of impurity until he takes, yani he renews or purify himself. Yani purify himself with wudu. Purify himself with wudu. Another example we know from the nawaqid of as-siyam is when for the woman is when the time of the haid comes to her, is upon her to leave the fasting and leave the prayer. Now, this is naqid because we have proof for that. So when we say something is a naqid, there must be a proof in the Quran and the Sunnah that affirm that this thing is really a naqid from the nawaqid of a thing. Exactly. فنواقض الإسلام هي الأفعال والأقوال التي إذا وقع الإنسان فيها انتقد إسلامه وخرج عن دائرة الإسلام إلى دائرة الكفر والردة. طيب، نواقض الإسلام is there are yani is for nawaqid al-Islam, the nawaqid of Islam, the nullifiers of Islam are actions and statements. When someone falls into them, his Islam will be nullified. He will be out of the fold of Islam to the fold of apostasy and kufr, and disbelief. That is the thing, that there are specific statements and actions that when someone falls into them, his Islam will be nullified immediately, and he will move away from the fold of Islam to the fold of kufr or apostasy. طيب، هذه نواقض تتعلق بمسألة التكفير. These nawaqid, they are connected with the issue of takfir. The issue of takfir, saying, calling someone, a specific person, or calling a specific group of people, or a specific attribute from the attribute that is kufr. That the person who falls into them is a kafir. وَالْحُكْمُ بِالرِّدَّةِ, and calling someone that he has fallen into apostasy. But nawaqid al-Islam is connected with these things. That it can be a reason for someone to make, for the ulamas to make takfir on someone, or it can be a reason for for them to make takfir on a person because of a ridda. فَلِذَلِكَ, because of that, it is upon us all to learn these principles على منهج أهل السنة والجماعة, in accordance to the manhaj of Ahl Sunnah al Jama'ah, because these are the same nawaqid that the Khawarij, the Ikhwan and the others, they take and they make takfir on Muslims. So we should pay attention with that, okay? We should pay attention. So we're going to take these principles, the principles that are going to guide us upon the aqid of Ahl Sunnah when it comes to these nawaqid. طيب. Firstly, we mentioned takfir just now. Takfir, there are three types of takfir. Two of them is must, and the one is not must. Yani, two of them is must. Whoever doesn't accept it, then he is a kafir. And the other is not ilzami. We have التكفير بالدليل والتكفير بالإجماع والتكفير بالاجتهاد. Is that clear? طيب. Now, التكفير بالدليل, that is making takfir on someone or a group of people with a proof from the Quran or the Sunnah. التكفير الإجماعي, that is the takfir which the scholars, they've got a consensus that a certain group of people are Muslims. Then the takfir al-ijtihadi, that is where I, for myself, for example, I watch this person, I watch him. Due to what he's done, I said, no, he's a kafir. This is takfir al-ijtihadi. Now, what is the hukum for them? The takfir bid-dalil, this is most upon everyone to accept. The takfir al-ijma'i is most upon everyone to accept. What about the takfir al-ijtihadi? No, it's not most. That you force me to accept the person you made takfir on, that I should make takfir on. This is the takfir that the Khawarij are making on Muslims. They have what a specific person, they make takfir on him. If you don't accept what they've done or what they have done by making takfir on this person, they will make you as a kafir too. Right. Now let's come back. We have a takfir bid-dalil. A takfir bid-dalil is divided into two. We have takfir al-a'yan wa takfir al-awsaf. Takfir al-a'yan, yani when we say takfir bid-dalil, that the dalil came in the Quran and the Sunnah that this category of people or person is a kafir. Now this type of takfir is in in two categories. We have a takfir bil-a'yan, yani there are proof in the Quran and Sunnah that name specific group of people, yani specific people by their names that they are kuffar. An example of that, Fir'aun, Namrud, Shaitan, Haman, Qarun. These kind of people, their names came in the Quran and the Sunnah that they are kuffar. So we make takfir on them because by their names, because their name comes in the Quran. Clear? Then we have a takfir bil awsaf. A takfir bil awsaf. Making takfir by a description or attribute of a certain group of person or a people. Example, like the takfir of the Yahud and the Nasara. The takfir of yani Allah made takfir on the Yahud and the Nasara. لقد كفر الذين قالوا إن الله ثالث ثلاثة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he made takfir on the Yahud again in the Quran. Then the Sunnah of Rasulullah, they make takfir on the Yahud and the Nasara. This is takfir bil awsaf. Whoever doesn't accept these two type of takfir, which is takfir, yani, which are the two type of takfir bil dalil, this person is the kafir. That is to say, a person who doesn't say Fir'aun, for example, is a kafir, or the Yahud and the Nasara are not kuffar, that person is a kafir because he has rejected the takfir of the Quran, which the Quran has done, a'yan wal awsaf. This is the first type of takfir bil dalil and its category. Then we have a takfiru bil ijma. That is the takfir in making, yani, like for example, the ulamas of this ummah, the ulamas of Ahl Sunnah, they have a consensus of a certain group of people that this group of people are kuffar. This group of people are kuffar. Example, we have, for example, the ulamas, they have ijma that the Qadianiyah, that is the, how do you call them? The Ahmadiyya, that they are not Muslim. Whoever doesn't agree that the Qadianiyah are not Muslim, he is a kafir. The Nusayriyah in Syria, the Shia Nusayriyah, the Ismailiyah, these people, the scholars, they've got consensus that they are not Muslim. Whoever doesn't agree that these people, which the ulamas have got consensus that they are kuffar, then that person too is a kafir like them. This is takfir bil bil ijma. Is this clear? Is this clear? طيب. Then we have التكفير بالاجتهاد. التكفير بالاجتهاد. التكفير بالاجتهاد, that is where someone يعني watch a group of people or a specific person, then he says, I've come to conclusion that this person is a kafir. This person is a kafir. This kind of takfir, before we go to that story, the takfir al-ijma'i, whoever doesn't accept it, and the takfir al-bidalil, whoever doesn't accept this two type of takfir, this person is a kafir. Then the takfir al-ijtihadi, which someone will watch a person or a group of people, then he says this person or this group of people are kuffar. This kind of takfir, which is takfir bil ijtihad, is not must upon anyone to accept. Yani, if I want, I will accept it. If I want, I will not accept it. But it's not must upon me to accept that, which you've done already by making takfir on a group of people. No, we should not do this. This is the takfir that the Khawarij are doing upon on Muslims. And takfir is something very dangerous that we should pay attention to and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when it comes to takfir. When it comes to takfir, we must pay attention. And takfir is something very dangerous, ya ikhwa. Before making takfir, there are conditions uh, that should be fulfilled and things should be freed from. That is to say, the first condition of takfir is that أن يظهر هذا الإنسان الكفر بقول أو فعل حتى وإن كان مدعيا للإسلام. That someone he brings يعني clearly outside with a statement or action, even if he claims Islam, an action of kufr or 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 a statement of kufr. This kind of person, يعني he brings it clearly and defend that. Then this one condition. Number two, uh, أن تبلغه الحجة الموجبة لبيان الحق وزوال الشبهة. That the hujjah must meet him, that the proof of the Quran and the Sunnah and the shubha must be clarified for him. وأن تكون تلك الحجة ثابتة لديه إن كان من أهل العلم والنظر. More especially if that person is a person of knowledge, the hujjah must meet him and they should, if there is any shubha there, it should be clarified for him. Number three, أن يكون بالغا عاقلا يفهم. The person which, from the conditions of takfir, the person should be reach the age of puberty, maturity. Then he should be someone with complete sense. Then number four, ألا يكون معذورا. Then he should not be someone that has been excused بقرب عهد الإسلام. He must not be someone that have any excuses from the excuse of the Sharia. ألا يكون مكرها. He should not be forced. He should not be forced. ألا يكون جاهلا. He should not be ignorant of the rulings of Islam. For example, he was born in a land where there is no religion, no Islam. Then he falls into one of these actions. He has never heard about Islam, never heard about shirk, never heard about kufr. Then this kind of person, they need to teach him. These are some of the conditions of takfir that the scholars mentioned. Then the mawani' al-hukm bi-takfir. What are the things that prevent someone from making takfir on him? Number one, ألا يظهر منه ما يوجب الكفر بقول أو فعل. Number one, if the person have not spoken or done an action of kufr, then we should not make takfir on him. Number two, ألا تقوم عليه الحجة. Then the hujjah should not be upon. That is maybe because of where he's living, he has no hujjah, and the message have not met him, so you cannot make takfir on him. The third one is he should not be very little or young, and he should not be a mad person. Then the fourth one is he should not be forced. إلا من أكره وقلبه مطمئن بالإيمان. These are the shurut and the mawani' at-takfir in the ahli as-sunnati. When you understand these conditions and these mawani', it helps you a lot. Now let's go back to the three types of takfir. We have التكفير بالاجتهاد, التكفير بالدليل, التكفير والتكفير بالاجتهاد. The first two types, الدليل والإجماع, whoever doesn't accept it, then he is a kafir. Then التكفير الاجتهادي, then is more, if you want you can accept it, if you want you cannot accept it, but you should not force someone to accept it and you make takfir on the person because he doesn't accept what you made of اجتهاد of. I hope this is clear. واضح إن شاء الله. Now let's go to the principles, inshallah. The first principle that we have here is من ثبت القاعدة الأولى من ثبت إسلامه بيقين فلا يزول عنه اسمه إلا بيقين. That whoever has, we have proof that he is a Muslim completely, the name Islam will not go from him except we have certainty. We are certain that this person is a Muslim with dalil proof. And we should not remove the name Islam from him or Muslim from him until we have another certain dalil that will bring us to that. That is, we cannot make takfir with doubt. Making takfir with doubt is a fitna. We cannot make takfir with doubt. We cannot make takfir because we hear people making takfir. Rather, we should be rest assured of the person, what he said or what he done. Yeah, and when he is a Muslim, we should rest be assured of that. Is that clear? طيب. Then number two principle, القاعدة الثانية: من نطق بالشهادتين فهو مسلم في الظاهر، له ما للمسلمين وعليه ما عليهم ما عليهم. Whoever says the shahada, لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله, he is a Muslim with ظاهر. What is apparent to us is a Muslim. What the rights that the Muslim have upon him and the right that he has upon the Muslim, they share that together both. That is to say, what is apparent to us is that which we use to judge. لنا الظواهر والله يتولى السرائر. What is in the hidden, the private, we don't know about that. Allah only knows that. So we do not make takfir on him as long as we know that if he said La ilaha illallah openly, clearly to us. That's it. طيب. The third principle, القاعدة الثالثة: التكفير حكم شرعي فلا نكفر إلا من كفره الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Takfir is a ruling of the rulings of the Sharia. That is to say, one should not make takfir except that which have come to from the Quran and the Sunnah. فَلَا نُكَفِّرُ, we do not make takfir on anyone إِلَّا مَنْ كَفَّرَهُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ صلى الله عليه وسلم, except the person or a group of people that Allah and His Rasul has made takfir on, then we make takfir on them. But we do not make takfir on those that we don't have any evidence of making takfir on them. القاعدة الرابعة: التكفير بالوصف العام لا يستلزم تكفير المعين إلا بعد ثبوت الشروط وانتفاء الموانع. التكفير بالوصف العام, like for example the Yahud, the takfir that was made by for the Yahud is that which came in the the takfir al-awsaf, for example. So we do not say because the takfir, Allah has made takfir bil awsaf by a certain description or attribute, that means we're gonna make takfir on each and every individual. No, except we have proof and evidence that except we have proof that he knows the conditions are fulfilled and the things that prevent us from making takfir on him are fulfilled. التكفير بالوصف العام لا يستلزم تكفير المعين. That is, if Allah has made takfir بالوصف in this group, in a description or an attribute or a group of people, Allah has made a group of a sifa, an attribute. Allah made takfir on those who has this attribute. Allah made takfir on this kind of people. Or Prophet ﷺ made takfir on this kind of people. This doesn't mean we should make the takfir of each and every individual by themselves until the proof is upon them, that is the conditions are fulfilled, then the thing that prevent them from from us making takfir on them are fulfilled. With that, then labas. طيب. القاعدة الخامسة: لنا الظاهر والله يتولى السرائر. we judge and make takfir or judge with that which is apparent to us. What is hidden, that is with Allah. If someone comes to us as a Muslim, we treat him as a Muslim. And if he comes to us as a kafir, then we treat him the way he deserves to be treated. But if he comes to us as a Muslim, why inside he is a kafir, then that is with Allah. We don't know that. So what is apparent to us is that which we judge, and what is hidden is with Allah. القاعدة السادسة: التكفير لا يدخل في باب عقوبات بالمثل. takfir someone should not make takfir because of punishment. For example, I sent you to do something for me, you don't do it, then I make takfir on you. Or we have a this is not the Islamic way to do takfir. Or because you tell me to do something, I didn't do it, so you make takfir on me. Or we have this dispute in this specific thing, then you make takfir on me when that thing is not clear and is not at the level to make takfir on me. No, takfir is not done like this. Takfir is not done like this. or because this group of people have harmed you, so because of that you're going to make takfir on them. No, there should be a proof first. The conditions might be should be fulfilled, and they should be free from those the things that prevent them from also making takfir on them. طيب. القاعدة السابعة, the seventh principle: ما كان كفرا بالذات فلا يشترط فيه الاستحلال. The action, the statement that is kufr by itself, we don't need someone yani, to ask someone if this yani, what he intend there is this or that. Example, we have shirk. Shirk, worshiping grave itself is kufr billahi azza wa jal. So when someone worship a grave, we don't say no. Let's go and ask him first. Yani, if he is worshiping him or he believes that he deserves to worship. No, why? Because the action that he has done is kufr by itself. So this means we're not going to ask him. But why if he yani, if he does something which by itself is not kufr, we should ask him. For example, zina is haram. Nah. When someone falls into zina, are we going to make takfir on him at the moment? No, because zina by itself is not haram until we ask the person. Now we ask him, is zina halal or haram? When he says zina is halal, then we make takfir on him because he had made istihlal of that which Allah has made haram. He has made something halal which Allah has made haram. But if he said zina is haram, but due to his weakness he fall into zina, we're not going to make takfir on him. Rather, we're going to deal with him as the fusaq among the Muslims. Is this clear? We're going to deal with him as a fusaq among the Muslims. But if the action itself is kufr by itself, we don't ask someone what you intend by this, because the action itself is kufr by itself. So we don't need the intention of the person. Yasir Qadhi, I think some years back, he said something like this: that if someone seek isti'ana, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or worships a grave, or do anything like that, we should not make takfir on him, because we should ask the person first. This statement is completely wrong, because the action of seeking isti'ana or isti'ada or worshipping grave or doing tawaf at the graveside, the action itself is kufur. So we do not say, let's ask them first before we make takfir on them. No, the person who does these actions is a kafir. Immediately he falls into them. وهذا إن شاء الله. طيب. القاعدة الثامنة. The eighth principle is التكفير الاجتهادي غير ملزم لغيرك. As we mentioned just now, the takfir al-ijtihadi, the takfir which you made by and you make or you made by ijtihad, it doesn't mean I should accept it or not. Or if I do accept it, you make takfir on me too. No, it is not permissible to do so. If you make takfir on a group of people due to your ijtihad, then that is with you. You should not force me to make takfir on them. Now, this is the principle. And this is what the principle means. القاعدة التاسعة. This principle is clear, that if someone makes takfir by his ijtihad, then he should not force another person to make the same takfir which he's done because of his ijtihad. Or he can make takfir, or he makes takfir on the person who doesn't accept his ijtihad. This is not permissible at all in any way. القاعدة التاسعة, the ninth principle: أهل السنة والجماعة لا يكفرون بمجرد الكبيرة ما لم يعتقد فاعلها الاستحلال. أهل السنة والجماعة do not make takfir on anyone if the person doesn't if a person commits a major sin that doesn't reach kufr or shirk. Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah doesn't make takfir on anyone except the person believe that the thing that he done is istihlal. That is to say, someone commits zina, stealing, drinking wine. These are major sins. Can we make takfir on a person who does this who does these actions? No, because this action by themselves are not kufr. So now we're going to ask the person, now this action that you've done, is it haram or halal? If he say it is halal, then we say he's a kafir because he has made halal that which Allah has made haram. But if he said it is haram, then we say it's upon you to repent to Allah sincerely immediately, because in this dunya we say he is a Muslim to the level of iman he has in his heart, and he is a fasik to the level of sin he has committed. Yawm al-Qiyamah, we say to him, Allah, we say to him, if Allah wants, insha'Allahu ghafarallahu lah. If Allah wants, He'll forgive him and pardon him. And if Allah wants, Yawm al-Qiyamah, He will punish him. But if he's been punished, he will not remain in the Jahannam forever. طيب, is this principle clear? Jazakallah khaira. Jazakumullah khaira. طيب. القاعدة العاشرة. The 10th principle is أهل السنة والجماعة لا يكفرون بلوازم الأقوال إلا بعد أرضها وقبولها. أهل السنة والجماعة, they do not make takfir by by statements of people or a category of people, except until they brought the statement to this person. That, for example, someone say we can, it's permissible to seek isti'ana to the dead, seek help from the dead. Someone say this kind of statements. Uh, so what we do first, we go back to the person. Like, for example, if the person is a scholar, for example, we go to him. You say this and that. Do you believe this? And this is what Allah said. This is what the Prophet ﷺ said. Do you still believe that this thing is permissible or not? If he said it is permissible, then he's a kafir immediately. But if he said no, it is not permissible, it was a shubha, then we do not make takfir on him. So if someone says anything, someone says an act of kufr, sorry, a statement of kufr, or he does a statement of kufr, so we need to go back to the person and ask the person, what you say? This is what you said, and this is what the Sharia have said about it. If you are sure about that which you've said, then you are a kafir if you do not return back to the deen of Allah. But if he didn't, the person did not, then you're going to make takfir on. But if he returned back, then there is no takfir on him. طيب. القاعدة الحادية عشر: كل نص في تخليد صاحب الكبيرة في النار فيراد به عند أهل السنة والجماعة مطلق الخلود لا الخلود المطلق. كل نص, any proof that we have in the Quran and the Sunnah that says a person with the major sins will remain in Jahannam. This means he will not be there forever. As long as the sin which Allah mentioned about, that the person will remain in Jahannam, is from the kaba'ir, that doesn't reach to the level of shirk and kufr, the person who does that, he will enter Jahannam if Allah wills, but he will not remain there forever. And if the thing that he does is kufr by itself, then he will be there forever. This is what they mean. Any nas, any proof that says a person of major sin will enter Jahannam, will be there, it means he will be there for some time, but will not be there forever. Whilst if the person, any nas, a proof that we have that a person will be in Jahannam for a great sin that is more than is shirk or kufr or ridda, then we say this is al-khulud al-mutlaq, that the person will be there forever. طيب. Al-khuludu al-mutlaq. But if the sin he committed is a minor sin, and is a major sin, like zina, for example, drinking wine, these are minor sins. Sorry, these are major sins, but it doesn't reach the level of shirk. So there are evidence that says some of the people, the people that fall into this, they will be thrown in Jahannam yawm al-qiyamah. The people are going to be, unfortunately, may Allah save us, to be thrown in Jahannam, that are Muslims, they will not be there forever. Whilst those that will be thrown there, which those that will be thrown there, that believe indeed that it is it is halal, or they fall into shirk or kufr, then these people will remain in there forever. طيب. القاعدة الثانية عشر: ما كان من النواقض مبناه على التفصيل فلا يجوز إطلاقه وإجماله بلا تفصيل. Whatever we have from the nawaqid of Islam, we need to explain it and clarify it to the people. We should not use it generally without explanation. That is, we have from the nawaqid of Islam is this al-istihza, making mockery. We should not just say making mockery is kufr, we stop there. No, we should explain it in details so that everyone should understand. Everyone should understand. But if we just made it like that, istihza is kufr, that's the end. No, there will be a lot of mistakes in this. There will be a lot of mistakes in this. Al-Qaidatu al-Thalithatu Ashar. The 13th principle, inshallah, which is the last one here, is نفي الإيمان عن فاعل الكبيرة يقتضي نقص إيمانه. يقتضي نقص إيمانه الواجب لا نقص لا نقص أصله. It says, the principle says نفي الإيمان. If Iman is being denied for a person that commits a major sin, the denial here is part of the Iman. not all of it. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. Or let's take the other hadith. It says, والله لا يؤمن والله لا يؤمن والله لا يؤمن من لا يأمن جاره بوائقه. أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. That the person has not believed. The person has not believed. The person has not believed. The one whose neighbor is not safe in living with him. Now this is ala kulli hal. Now this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, the person is not a believer. Is not a believer. He is not, yani he has not believed. Which kind of iman is denied in this hadith? It is the complete iman that the person is a kafir, or is it specific iman? The ulama of the sunnah, they say, this iman that is being denied in this hadith is part of the iman, not the asl, the original iman, which takes someone out of al-Islam completely. But rather is part of the iman. Part of the iman. Now, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, من أحب لله وأعطى لله ومنع لله فقد استكمل الإيمان. That whoever gives for Allah, he loves for Allah. He hates, he loves for Allah, he hates for Allah. He gives for Allah and he stopped giving for Allah. This person's iman has been completed. But if you do the opposite, that means the iman has not been complete. No, it means all of the iman is gone. And Allah Prophet said, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى أكون أحب إليه من والده, that no one of you will be a believer until I am more beloved to him than himself, his father, his wife, the people, and his children, and everyone. The iman that the Prophet ﷺ said, La yu'min here, is the asl al-iman. Because loving the Prophet ﷺ is from the usul, is the fundamentals of Islam. The person who doesn't have this, he is not a Muslim. So when you differentiate between these two things, you realize the disease of that which the Khawarij are upon. Whenever we have evidence, ayah or evidence that says this person doesn't believe, we should watch the evidence. The action that the person does, which was denied for, is it from the major sins that doesn't reach kufr or shirk? If it is from the major sins, that means part of the iman, the person is still a Muslim. But if the action that the iman was denied from, for the person, is fundamental from the fundamentals of Islam, then this action is kufr billahi azza wa jal, that take a person from Islam. This is clear, inshallah. Inshallah, these are some of the principles that we have here for this introduction for Nawaqid al-Islam. By next class, inshallah, that will be next week, inshallah. We'll try to start the Risala itself, inshallah, with the share of the Sheikh Habib, Sheikh Salih al-Fawzan, Hafidahullah. Ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to make it beneficial for us and accept it from us all, and grant us all acceptance and grant us ikhlas. I mean, is there anything, inshallah? Barakallahu fikum. Now, is there anything not understood here? You can type that, inshallah. Or you can open the mic now, inshallah. Barakallahu fikum. Right. Well, if everything is understood, inshallah, we're going to stop here. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to grant us al-ikhlas and accept it from us. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our mistakes and pardon us all. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.